Are the thoughts in your head stopping you from becoming successful? Are the ideas that you're telling yourself, the things that you might not even be consciously aware of anymore, things that you tell yourself, stopping you from getting rich? What if you were putting a curse on yourself every time you opened your mouth that you didn't even realize? What if every time you spoke, you were speaking words that were literally stopping you from getting rich? In this video, I'm going to explain exactly what that is. So one of the first books that I read a book called How to Win Friends. Well, I read that book. And then it was, I forget the name of it now. Basically, this is what you want to do. Listen to the words that people say. Have you ever heard someone say, "That's just the way I am. No good things ever happen to me. I will always be broke"? When people say words like that to themselves, they are literally casting a spell on themselves that is stopping them from being rich. Think about this. Think about the phrase, "I will never be rich." Or phrases similar to that. "I will never be wealthy. I can never get rich. It's impossible for me to get rich." What is that doing? That is putting a spell on you that is making it impossible for you to get rich. When you say, I can never be rich, what are you saying? You are saying, nowhere in the near future, indefinitely forever in time, it is impossible for me to get wealthy. You are putting a spell on yourself. Bad things always happen to me. What are you saying? In the past, bad things have always happened to me. In the present, bad things are happening to me. And indefinitely in future till the end of time, bad things will continue to happen to me. Let's use another example. Whenever something good starts to happen, bad thing happens afterwards. I can never get a momentum of just good things happening. Why can't I ever get a break? What are you saying? It's impossible for me to get ahead. You are saying that it doesn't matter what happens. You are the kind of person that forever till the end of time is always going to struggle, is always going to fail, is never going to be able to get ahead in life. You are cursing yourself by saying words that are poisoning your mind and stopping you from having success. This one book I was reading was saying that a lot of people say, "I can't, I don't." As soon as you say that, "I can't be rich," you are saying, what are you saying by saying, "I can't be rich"? You are saying it is impossible, regardless of what happens. Regardless of the information I get, the mentors I get, how much action I take, regardless of anything, it is impossible for me to ever create any amount of real wealth in my life for as long as I live, indefinite for the end of time. When you say that, you are actually shutting down yourself from possibilities. You could have been in situations in the past where you could have started, where maybe you were in something good, or maybe you were starting to be successful in something, and because you told yourself that, you self-sabotage yourself. You stopped yourself from having success. You killed your chances of being rich by putting spells on you in the form of saying words that were trapping you. Now, what's the solution? The solution is to stop saying that stupid shit to yourself. The solution is to start reprogramming how you speak to yourself. Because, is that true? Let's think of one of the thoughts. "I could never be rich," or "I could never be rich." How do you know you could never be rich? Do you know what's going to happen in the future? Do you know where you're going to be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? The past does not equal the future. Imagine if you were a baby at one point, weren't you? Imagine if you were 6 months old and you're laying in the crib and you're staring up there at the little thing that spins around and you say, "Gosh, I see all these humans around me, walking, running, jumping, sprinting. Why can't I do that? I've never walked in my life. My whole time in existence, I've always just been laying here. I can roll around a little bit. I can't walk. I can't even stand up. I'm 6 months old. I can't stand up. I couldn't never run. I could never walk. I can't even stand up without my legs wobbling and I'm falling over. I'm just never going to try. I'm just the kind of baby that's never going to walk. Imagine if you said that. Be fucking stupid. Have you ever walked? Have you ever ran? Have you ever jumped? Why? Because your past does not equal the future. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past. The thing is, babies, they just don't have this bullshit that we have in our head. By the way, that shit you have in your head is not your fault. It's social conditioning. It's advertising. It's TV. It's parents feeding you bad information. Remember, 99% of people on the planet are not wealthy. That means 99% of people are walking around and they have the wrong thoughts, the wrong ideas, the wrong mindsets about money. So you can't help but get some of that gunk and bullshit inside your brain. I mean, you can't help it. You're around 99, and the 1% of people that are rich, you're probably not around them because they're on the yachts hanging out with the other 1% of people. Right? So what you need to do is you need to figure out how to take that junk that's in your head and pull it out. And one of the ways you do that is by start saying more empowering stuff to yourself. So when it comes to making money, you don't say, you don't say, it's impossible for me to get rich. Well, that's not true because you don't know what's going to happen. How do you know what's going to happen? How do you know where your life's going to be 6 months from now, a year, 5 years, 10 years from now? A more accurate statement, wouldn't you agree, would be something like, up until this point, I have not been successful and I have not been wealthy. However, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I don't know what the future is going to bring. I could get access to better information. I could get access to better mindset, strategies, tactics, and principles that will allow me to get wealthy. There's been people in the past who have been struggling for years, decades, and even for like half a century, and they had breakthroughs that allowed them to go from nothing at the bare bottom with no connections, not knowing where to start, having no money, and become massively wealthy in a short amount of time. If they can do it, I can do it. I just need to keep an open mind. What happened if you start saying those kind of thoughts to yourself? What would happen if you stop poisoning your mind and putting bullshit ideas that are literally stopping you from being successful, and you started changing the way you talk to yourself so you can now start to open yourself up to the possibility of starting to create wealth? Because if you can start to do that and you can start to open your mind up to it, you can start to be aware of better opportunities. You can start to attract those opportunities. You can start to run with those opportunities. And as you start to run with those opportunities, you won't do anything to self-sabotage yourself, so you will be able to achieve the income you want, make the money you want, have the freedom you want, so you can live the life you and your family deserve.